Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Vibrant Brain Monday. Whether you're listening here in our Reboot Your Brain Inner Circle or whether you're listening on YouTube, I want to say hello and welcome you and tell you I'm really happy to be back here with you. I'm just back from 2 weeks in China and have so much I'd love to share about that. But the topic that I really want to talk about today in our Vibrant Brain Monday came from China, came from my time in China, and is so important for our health. So I'm going to dive in. So first of all, the experience in China was incredible, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. Incredible in so many different ways. But one of the really pleasant surprises was that even though I was there for a financial investment summit, the very ending topic of a 2-day summit was my now friend, Param Didia, who is a program director at Canyon Ranch. You're probably familiar with Canyon Ranch. It's known worldwide for its restorative healing spa retreats. Mark Hyman, for example, was the co-director of the location in Massachusetts at one point in his career. And Param is managing program director in the Tucson location, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see him on the agenda of topics at our financial investment summit for obvious reasons. And he was there to talk about sleep. And the reason that he was brought into this conference is that the 3 founders of this particular organization that is basically financial advisors, of the 3 founders, 2 of them have had some pretty serious health conditions arise recently, and so their focus and their attention has been really drawn to their own health and wellness. And so there they are, 3 gurus in terms of abundance and wealth and financial investment. 2 of them have gotten very sick, and as a result of their own journey, they wanted to share with the small group of us. There was about 30 of us there, and certainly an esteemed group of colleagues to be with at that summit, who are all very successful business people, entrepreneurs, investors, developers, you name it, hugely successful from a financial standpoint. And yet the directors of the investment group wanted to bring this topic of sleep and health to our group, because really wealth doesn't matter without health and longevity, does it? It just doesn't. And so I was really excited to see this topic on the agenda. And if you know me, you know that, because you know that sleep I regard as a nutrient, nothing short of a nutrient. And also I know that it is something that there's a tendency, the more successful we get in certain areas and ways and parts of our life, we tend to put sleep on the back burner and not think it's that important and think it will come later. But really, health and wealth, or health is nothing. Well, excuse me, wealth is nothing without our health and longevity, is it? And that was really Param's message to this group. So I was all on board from the minute I saw sleep and Canyon Ranch, and I watched the audience get on board and actually ask some really great questions. And Param and I agreed on just about everything, but he did have one interesting take, I thought, on cortisol testing that I can understand why he says what he says, but I have a little different view of it. So in today's Vibrant Brain Monday, I'm going to share, first of all, the top root causes of sleep problems. I'm also going to give you some of my top tips for how to resolve sleep issues, because this is something that our Vibrant Women work on. This is actually one of the very foundational pieces in any health coaching that I give, because without it, everything else is compromised. And I'm also going to share that perspective that Param had about cortisol testing, and then the part I agree with and the part that I have a little add-on. It's not that I really disagree, but I have a further clarification. And lastly, in our training today, I'm going to talk about sleep supplements and what to do and what not to do. So even this topic of sleep got me so excited, and because it is so critical to absolutely everything else about our health, and especially our brain performance. And you may recall in our Reboot Your Brain series that recently wrapped up, one of my colleagues even went so far as to say that before he ever gives a client a protocol of supplements to take, because that can create such change in the body, and change in the body can be perceived as a stress by the body, before he even does that, his bottom line requirement is that that patient have good sleep habits and get good sleep first so that they can be prepared for the stress and the transition. And I know you might be saying, yeah, but what if I can't? I'll get there, I promise. So another thing that I loved about, and this is a little bit of a sidebar, but another thing that I loved about Parham's talk is that he really spoke to the holistic aspect of healing. And I couldn't agree more on that. So, but first, let me just say for China, because I've been getting a lot of messages and I'm just getting caught up on so many of them, China was incredible. And even more, the point I want to share and make here is that travel is so incredible for our brain because it really does teach the brain to think differently. It's almost like using your non-dominant hand. All of a sudden you have to think again about, making change with your cash. You have to think, although China uses almost no cash, it's all WePay, it's all through your phone. But if not phone, cash, they don't take credit cards for sure. And so little things like that, though, of making just exchanging money and paying for things and getting your change, you have to think about it a little bit harder again. So travel is to foreign destinations is really, really good for our brain because it wakes up and activates parts of our brains that we haven't been using when we're in our comfort zone. Travel also really changes our perspective, and I saw such a different perspective over there because we've got basically in China a 5,000-year culture that now in just the last 30 years has incredible new freedoms and is kind of like an infant culture in that way, even though some traditional things are ancient. So ancient culture, they're very much about honor and respecting elders and education. Education, in fact, one tour guide said, education is our religion. We don't have religion here. Education is our religion. So they have all those aspects of an ancient culture, but then they have this budding new infant society. And when I say infant, I mean it. If you look at some of the pictures I posted, and I'll post one here when I finish up, there's a view of the financial district of Shanghai. And as of 1990, none of those buildings, you'll see the TV tower stands out with the round bulb. None of that was there as of 1990. This is all in the last just under 30 years that even their financial district has developed, and they've allowed foreigners to come in and bring businesses there and that kind of thing. And so they really are a very infant economy and infant culture in a lot of ways, and that brings some interesting things too. That brings gratitude. I saw huge gratitude. I saw among every single person that I talked with a lack of entitlement. They feel grateful and not entitled to any single freedom they've had because they're still much closer to the times and the generations when they didn't have anything. So anyway, all that is a little sidebar on our topic, but I wanted to share it with you because if you get a chance to go. And even their perspective on trade wars, which by the way, there's no war. This is business negotiation. And they see that. They're not worried. They're not, there's none of that hyper sensation in media, any of that, because they know it's just business negotiation. It's been going on for 5,000 years or more. Anyway, let's dive into sleep. So just a few reminders how important getting good sleep is. It is the time that you balance your hormones. It is critical to your immune system, to your appetite, to your breathing, to your blood pressure, to your cardiovascular health, and especially to your brain. Because in our nerve cells, our neurons, sleep is vital to good communication between neurons. Without good sleep, we don't get good communication between neurons. And also sleep is the time that the glymphatic system, not lymphatic, that's the body's way of removing toxins, but the glymphatic system